Okay, body recomp 101. So we're about to get into macros, shredding fat, building muscle, etc. All right. So step one, being in a deficit. What is a deficit? Most of y'all have heard of calorie deficit, right? Calories in, calories out, calorie surplus, right? A deficit means you're losing weight, surplus, gaining weight, maintenance, maintaining weight. But how do you even get those calories? Like, what's your baseline calories? That's called your TDEE, right? So in order to be in a deficit, you want to be between 300 and 500 calories less than your TDEE, right? How do you get your TDEE? You can use Google or AI to calculate your estimated TDEE, right? Or you can calculate it old school, right? Or it's not even that old school, but you basically take your weight, you multiply it by 14, between 14 and 16, based on your activity levels. So if you're not that active, then it's 14. If you're active, then it's 16. You can also go on Google, type in a calculator, or you can ask AI, and then you're going to subtract 300 to 500 calories, and that's going to be your deficit. So on average, the average woman's is about 2,000, right? So let's just say 2,000. And then we're going to subtract 300 to 500 calories, 1,500 to 7, and that's a pretty, right, aggressive deficit. What we're going to talk about in the future is reverse diet, because a lot of people need to honestly reverse diet before going into an aggressive cut like this, because a lot of people honestly aren't eating enough calories. What I found through my experience is a lot of people aren't eating enough calories, but when they do eat calories, they're eating low quality calories, and they're eating calories that are not macro friendly for building muscle, right? So what I mean is they're eating too many carbs and fats and not enough protein. And then they're already eating like 1,500 calories on average. So they're not eating enough. You get what I'm saying? So the body can struggle if you just go straight into a deficit without your metabolism being primed, AKA eating enough through a reverse diet, then you will struggle to get as lean as you could, as fast as you could if you reverse diet. And I might have just confused the crap out of y'all, but that's like, if you got it, you got it. If you don't, we'll break it down more simpler. But just know for right now, deficit, your baseline is 2,000. You need to go under that, right? Sometimes you may need to just do 2,000. Honestly, just go to 2,000 and then just split your macros for high protein, low to moderate carb, moderate healthy fats. And we're going to talk about that in macro mastery. All right. So what are macros? Protein, carbs, fat. You can think about it like this. The more protein you eat, it's like the bricks, right? It's the muscle. If we're talking about a car, right? Talking about a supercar, right? So the protein is like the lean, dense muscle of the tone, right? The carbs is going to be the fuel, right? The gas, the engine. But too many carbs and the type of carbs will determine if you're putting on fat or mass, or you're just using it as fuel, right? But a lot of times people are overeating carbs, right? Because carbs are in everything damn near. You feel me? Overeating carbs, and they're eating low quality of carbs, and then they're not eating much protein. You get me? So now they're not burning the carbs, right? They're sitting down. They're sedentary, right? Plus the fats from fried foods, right? They're not eating optimal fats, avocados and fish oil and whole eggs, like you know what I'm saying? Like the fats that most people are getting as well are not optimal, and this is why you gain body fat. But when we prime this and optimize these macros, high protein, healthy, complex carbs and fats on a ratio that optimizes for building muscle and shredding fats, your body turns into a fat burning machine. Okay, so what to look for? So you're going to target ratios about 40% protein, right? AKA you can go between I adjusted, I don't know, 1 to 2 grams per pound, right? So essentially, say you weigh 150 pounds, you can go for 150 grams of protein, right? That's a good rule of thumb, to 200 grams, right? So basically, for every pound, do a gram of protein. You feel me? 30% carbs, 30% fat, right? So if we're to look at that for 150 pounds, this is calculated at 1.6 to 2, but just keep this in mind, it's 1 to 1.5. 1.6 to 2 is a little high. 1 gram to 1.5 grams. And I swear that I changed that. I don't know how I got back to this. But yeah, so let's just say 150 to 200 grams of protein, and then the carbs and the fats about the same, right? And the reason why, if what I want you to understand with these numbers is what we're doing. So if you're to look at a plate, right? Look at a plate, you want most of the plate to be protein, right? So every time you eat a breakfast, a lunch, a dinner, a snack, you're going to think about protein, right? Because 40% of your total calories of this 2,000 calories needs to be from protein. You get me? 30% needs to be from carbs, 30% needs to be from fats, right? Now, changing these carbs and these fats, lowering them and raising them is going to make it whether you're gaining mass or cutting body fat. So if you wanted to cut more aggressively, you would cut these carbs down. And I'll show you more on this later. You get me? Hope I'm not making this too complex, but literally it's not that difficult. I'm just showing y'all some high level stuff, but it's really not that difficult. I hope it's simple for y'all right now.